Hey, welcome back to the table. So I did a video where we set up the game. There's no issue with the way the game was set up. Um, however, um, I did do a started a playthrough. I think I was playing as France, and as many times as I've played this game now, I'm easily at 8 or 9. There's always something to learn. This the rules are a lot. It actually helps posting videos because some of you who are familiar with this game are able to correct some potential rules issues, which I'm very grateful for. Now, what I did was is I deleted those videos, so if you're looking for them, they're gone. And the reason I deleted them is because the rules were really wrong. Like I was still getting some basic at least things that I would consider to be basic, inaccurate. So I wanted to try again. So I have it set up again, except this time I am going to play as England instead of France, just because I want to do something different for me. I played as Castile the most in this game, France second. I do have a game as Poland. I would like to try Austria at some point, but being the HRE adds a whole bunch of extra rules. And I've never tried the Ottomans. I do want to maybe try Muscovy. Um, so, yes, I'm set up as England. I got her all ready to go. And Ottomans always go first in this particular scenario. We're going to do the Grand Campaign, just like before. Oh, I just realized I need to set up this deck, which I had done in the previous video, didn't I? Well, that's what happens when you're starting over. So let me pause. I'm going to get this set up real quick, and then I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. This is the first half of age 1, second half of age 1. And these are out. So I guess I could have left them there, but I'm going to just move them over here, out of the way, zoom out a bit. First half of age 1, we're going to pop right there. Second half of age 1, we will put there. Actually, just because I don't want to confuse the matters. So here we go, shuffle and shuffle. In fact, I'm going to put this here, and we're going to draw 1, 2, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then these are the 7 cards that aren't going to be used. I'm going to go ahead and just move them down to there. I mean, there's no harm in leaving it here. It's just I don't want to get confused and draw from the wrong deck. That's the only issue. Okay. So somebody pointed out a mistake I've been making in a previous playthrough is I was putting the deck here and I was drawing 1, 2, 3 and picking the leftmost one, and then of course this one is the one that the bots pick the most. So this one started to accumulate a lot of money, and they're supposed to shift over, after they're selected. So if this one gets selected, this one becomes the newest one that's going to be on the left. And I wasn't doing that properly before, so I want to make sure I'm doing it properly now. So I have to mentally come up with a new system here, and that's the system I'm coming up with. So let's flip, flip, flip. And what you can see here is the Turks, the Ottomans, the Polish have the first two, and then there's a third one where the triangles are going to get sick. So we already know triangles are getting sick from the start. Alright, I am going to switch myself to be red. And then I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to shuffle everything. And I'm going to draw 1, 2. Alright, so we drew one of each. And I got a really nice advisor here for this commercial growth. It's a +3. I at least have one that's a +1 there. What do I want to do next? I honestly don't know. Uh, I have found that these are the most powerful cards to help you economically, of course. These, if you need to annex a vassal or something, they're the most powerful because you need to get a subjugate card. And then these are, I don't want to say they're the least important because if you're in battle, especially against a bot, they can really give you an edge. It's just that I'm so focused on these two decks, I find myself being very thin on these. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one more of each. Let's draw one, and one. And then we get to decide. We can only keep 4 of them. We can assign some as advisors, and those don't count against the 4. So basically, all I'm trying to say is you have to assign 2 of them as either a general or an advisor, and that lets you keep the remaining 4. So looking at the situation here, this is a really nice one because it converts a small town into a large. Or you can expand a trade node. Expanding a trade node is powerful because you basically upgrade it so you're going to make more money every time you trade there. It's really hard to say. Is that worth going with a +1 advisor versus a +3? We know that Triangle's getting sick right off the bat. So this is probably not a good advisor to have out there. And of the other ones I drew, I do have a nice +2 here. The explore action at no additional cost is sort of nice. So we got to make a choice. I got to put 2 of them down. I could do this one and this one. I think I will. I'm definitely going to put this one down as my military advisor and this one as my... Although I did like that card. I'm still going to do it as my naval. So that cost me 3 ducats. So we start the game with 15. And now that puts us down to 12. This mission board doesn't come with the physical copy of the game, but the person who made this module did this. So instead of drawing all the mission cards, which I do have, by the way, they are here. One of the things we can do is just mark the board. So I would just mark it here if it's completed, and I'm marking it over here on the left side to show these are the 2 missions that I have selected for the round. So our first mission is to levy the troops. We got to recruit all units in our manpower pool, and that'll give us a claim or an alliance in Ireland, and a claim or 2 cubes in Scotland. And then with the Admiralty, we need to have 2 heavy ships and 4 light ships. That'll give us 2 cubes, and we can hire an advisor and admiral for free from our hand. Not super exciting to be able to hire from our hand, but it's at least something, I guess. The biggest thing is that it unlocks the next set of quests. Okay, and I'm going to do this just to show that that's available for us to do. I know it's green, but like as I start unlocking new quests, I want to mark the ones that are available for us. It just saves me from having to do the math of figuring it out every time. Okay, so I'm down to my 4 cards. Now you might be wondering, why am I not putting this in if that's the advisor I want to use? Well, because we're going to draw cards that are going to make people get sick, and one of the tricks you should do is keep them in your hand. And then wait until the end of the round, because these advisors don't do anything for you until the end of the round. So having them out here now all it does is make them get sick sooner. So you definitely want to wait on those. Okay, now that we got ourselves squared away, let's refresh ourselves on what we need to do. Have a tax income of 15 after paying expenses. That's doable. Build 4 light ships during a single action. Have 4 vassals on the board. That's going to be really hard for us, if not impossible. Have your ruler as a general in a battle versus realm of another faith. Really hard for England to do. We're surrounded by Catholics. Alright, these 3 always start every game. We have Glorious Arms. Gain 2 points each time you win a land battle where a player enemy participated with 3 or more units. If we're going to be doing a lot of battles with bots, that's definitely the way to go. And then we also get to draw 2 military cards. And this serfdom is an interesting one. You gain unrest instead of paying a military cube when taking a replenished manpower. You refresh 4 per unrest gained. And then during phase 3, you gain 1 extra unrest per... I think that's... what is that? Revolutionary token in your realm. Alright, so this one, draw 4 trade cards instead of 3. Never a bad thing. This one, the whole spy network mechanic in this game, I think, is junk. I mean, I'm sure one of you out there is going to say it works well. I don't see it. I just don't. It seems like you have to set up so much, and you're relying on RNG so much to get the right cards. I think efficient spies is just bunk. This one costs 1 less to increase stability. Never bad. And then this one, it's really good, but you need to have a bunch of other stuff before you could ever get there. Okay, so moving on. Ottomans are going to go first. I have everything set up. Everything is shuffled. Just a reminder, this bot board has a spot for an army down here, which is, you know, it says treasury, but it's an army. And then the manpower reserve goes there. The way I do it is the actual army is on the left side, and the manpower is on the right side. So this one, for example, has a manpower of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So manpower over here, army over here. Okay? So as long as you understand that, and then there's no such thing as a exhausted manpower for them. So as soon as an army unit dies, it goes immediately available into the manpower. They have unlimited manpower, the bots. Or they refresh. Let's put it that way. They have unlimited refresh. So their manpower is always maximum of whatever their towns allow. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go. We're going to flip, and so they're going to do diplomacy. Cost them 3 cubes. So the diplomacy action, it's you start to memorize this stuff, but now how did I know they're going to draw a card? Well, first of all, a lot of this is just asking, are they under attack? You know, can they siege? Can they colonize? The answer is no, 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 all the way down. They had more than 0 cubes. Have they spent more than they have left? No. So then they're going to, are they at war? No. Have they, I'm sorry. The answer here is no. Do they have any bot cards left? So they're going to draw a bot card. And so that's what we're going to do here. That's what we just did. We drew a bot card. Okay? So by drawing the bot card, that takes us to the diplomacy action. Now, it's very involved, but it's pretty simple. They're looking for alliances plus marriage first, then alliance second, and then 2 cubes, and then alliance with less than 2 cubes. Because this alliance is going to do a check first, and then they're going to go down here. So with the Ottomans, they have no alliances. They're going to have 2 cubes in a place called, I think it's called Karaman or something like that. So then it's saying select that area, an NPR with the highest tax income in that area, is an alliance possible? And the answer is going to be yes. So we're going to place an alliance on the capital and then add a cube, and then it's over. So let's show you. So out of all the places they have cubes, they have 2 cubes here in Karaman. They're going to select the highest tax value realm, which is this one, these 2 guys, and they're going to create an alliance with them, and they're going to add another cube to the realm. And that's their diplomacy phase. Okay, so now we go to the French. Flip. They're going to discard a military card. So this flips over. And they're going to spend 1 cube to do a military action. Now this is a lot trickier. First thing they're going to do is look at their claims, and they have 2 of them. So they're going to roll a die. They rolled a 3. So, this is claim 2, this is claim 1. So they didn't match their claims. And so then they're going to look to see that they have an adjacent one of these. And they're going to attack either Flanders and Wallonia or Burgundy. So let's go through it real quick, and I'll show you how that plays out. Are they at war? No. Do they have a claim? Yes. We're going to roll a die. Did it match the claim number? No. Remember, they rolled a 3. So now they're going to check, and they're going to see a battleground token. The answer is yes. They're going to place a claim on one of those battleground tokens. And then they're going to select a realm for which this is valid. And they prefer an opponent. Opponent being a player opponent. Is there less than 4 cubes in the area, and is it eligible? The answer is going to be yes. Do they have greater than double the strength? And the answer is going to be no. Then they're going to declare war. So, there are 1, 2, 3 realms that's adjacent to them that have these battleground. So they're going to select one of them, and the one that they select, when they're selecting an area, they always select if it's relevant, that it's going to be highest tax versus lowest tax. And then if that's not relevant, then, or if it's tied, then they're going to pick alphabetical order. So alphabetical order would for sure be Burgundy. But also Burgundy wins another way, because there's 2, 3 tax income here. Over here it's 2. If you look at any of these other realms, they have at most 2. This is the most tax income to be gained. And then over here, you could argue that there's 2, 3, 4 if they attack Milan. So the question becomes, do they choose Lombardy area because there's 4 tax base here, or do they choose Burgundy because there's 3 tax base here? Now, the part that's interesting is France already has a presence in this area. They don't have a presence in this one. So, France, Castile, or Austria needs to have a town in at least 2 of these areas, or otherwise they lose 3 points. So France already has a town in this area. They need a town in one more area that's a battleground. So I think it's a very compelling argument that Lombardy is going to be the one chosen. Now, you might be wondering, where are you getting all this from? Well, if you come up here, this is how they do their selections. When given the option, always do it in alphabetical order if no other preference is given. So that would have been Burgundy. And then it says, when applying effects that are beneficial, choose taxes. And when they're bad, choose the least tax. So effects would be most tax, least tax. So in this case, they're not even supposed to choose based on tax. This was just straight up alphabetical order. Now, in this case, though, and this I think is an issue with the Solobot rules. Any area with a battleground token adjacent, place a claim here, right? Now you could argue that adjacent means something different than Burgundy because France is already there, and so that's not adjacent to France. Um, but then that means they would attack Flanders and Wallonia, not Lombardy. So this is the part where it gets really interesting, and it all gets down to how do you, if you want to follow the rules to the letter, they would choose Flanders. Because, first of all, Burgundy's not adjacent, it's within. And Flanders is F is before L. Now, I would argue that they would want to take the highest tax value, highest possible tax value, because why go invade Flanders for 2 tax value when they can invade Lombardy for 4? So I would argue that they should go for the 4. So would love to hear your thoughts on that. I think at the end of the day, do whatever makes sense for your group. So let's just do a real quick recap and then we'll move on. If you're a purist and you want to do exactly what the rules say, it is alphabetical and nothing else. You only apply highest tax, lowest tax if it's dealing with effects. This is just choosing where to declare war. So it would be Flanders, for sure, because it was alphabetical and it was adjacent. Now, for me, I'm thinking, first of all, the objective of this card, which is the battleground, is that France needs to have towns in 2 places. So for me, Burgundy is for sure out of the 3. In fact, I forgot Rhineland's also in. So there was actually 4 of them available for France to choose from. So Burgundy is for sure out. Oh, Rhineland's in. Oh, that solves it. That solves it. Oh my gosh. I went through all that for nothing. Watch. Select realm for which this claim is valid. Prefer opponent. You see that right there? Guess who's sitting right here in Rhineland? Austria. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so what they're going to do is they're going to put a claim in that area. And now they're going to check, do they have double the strength of Austria? And I don't. So Austria currently has an army strength of 2. But that doesn't mean anything. They have 5. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. They have 6 armies available. Now you might be wondering, hold on a second, they only have 5 and 2 of them are over here. That is true. So that means only 3 of these should be here. However, they're the Emperor, and so they get +3 because they're at level 3 right now. They gain a bonus equal to their level, to their tax income plus their manpower. So they get +3. And they also start the game with 1 more cube because they get an extra diplomacy. So they have 8 total strength. The strength is what they could have, not what they actually have. Okay, and that's actually defined in the rule in the bot book as well. So when you're calculating strength, realm strength is equal for NPR. It's the tax income. For a player, it's the number of deployed units plus available manpower. So for Austria, it's 8. So is the target strength greater than or equal to double the bot strength? And the answer is no. I mean, they have 8, yes, but that's not double. Or it's not greater than double the current bot strength. So, they are going to declare war. And this is so interesting that France is declaring war on Austria right away. So, and then they will recruit, and we're going to recruit 9, by the way. How do we know? Because we're playing normal difficulty, and it's 9. Alright, so France is going to declare war. They're going to spend a cube, and they're going to recruit 9. Now, the manpower for these guys is 8. There's 4 currently out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so 4 more are joining. So that's their full manpower. They basically recruited as many as they could. Okay? So then the war goes on. And so they're at war with Austria at the moment. And I just realized we don't need these for the bot. Okay. And so now we have to do what's next. I'll go through this a little slower. So they declared war. They got a free recruit action for 1 bot cube. Do they have allies with 2 cubes adjacent to the target? The answer is no, but let's just check. They have 2 cubes here, but that's not adjacent to the target, which is Austria. They have 1 cube here, but they don't have any allies. They do have an ally in province. So, so nobody's answering the call for France. So then, the answer is no. Now the targets can send defensive call to arms. NPRs always do. And there isn't any defensive call to arm to call. Remove all bot cubes from all targets of the areas. So we'll do that right now. Yep, there's no cubes. This gray cube is a part of the empire. It belongs to the HRE. So since Austria is the emperor, that gray cube counts as one of his cubes. But that doesn't get removed. And there's one other rule which isn't here. And it's a little nuanced, and it took me a while to figure this out. But you're getting the benefit that I've played this thing 8 times now. And I'll try to find here. So when there's a call to arms, targeted bots and bots joining the war, they gain 1 cube. If they have less than the minimum cubes, which is here, so which is 5, then they get up to 5. You know, they get extra cubes up to 5. But no matter what, they gain a cube when you declare war on them. Then if any available manpower, the bot immediately spends that 1 cube to recruit 7, 9, or 11. So basically they get a free recruit action. Assuming that they can recruit. And that is the case for Austria. So Austria will basically recruit for free. They gain a cube and then they spend a cube. And now it is important to gain it and spend it, because when they take their turn, now they're at war right now, so the rules are a little bit different, but there's a check to see have they spent more cubes than they currently have. So you always want to, even if you're gaining and losing a cube and you're like, it's not worth the trouble, it's just a wash, you still need to put it here because the accounting it is important. Alright, and so there is also a war. It's a reciprocal war, so they're both at war with each other, so they both get the war tokens. Okay, after all that's said and done, we come back. So they immediately get their recruit and checks for MAC if army is on the board. They're not on the board, so we don't have to worry about that. The MAC is it stands for maximum army capacity. And for a bot, it's almost always unlimited. But if they are somehow overseas or something, there's no land connection to the bot's capital, and it is defined by towns owned by them, then it is going to be the MC for the area, which we'll talk about that. It's basically the tax value of their towns plus 3. Minimum of 9 if there's a naval bridge that connects back to the capital. And almost always there is with these guys. Okay, so basically it's unlimited, meaning they recruited everything there is to recruit. And in fact, this rule is triggered so little, it's real easy to forget about it. I've forgotten about it many times. The only time I've ever seen this happen is that the Ottomans have attacked Algiers and Tunisia. and it wasn't that they attacked it, it was they owned territory there and I was attacking them. So that's the only time I've ever seen this get triggered. Um, Britain will trigger it as well whenever they're defending France. But I'm playing Britain, so you won't see that in this game. Okay, so after all that is said and done, we're still not finished with this. So, did it trigger a naval battle? The answer is no, although it's close. Austria only has one port here. They have a ship here. France's ship is over here. No naval battle. Did it trigger a land battle? Nope. Nobody even has their army on the board. Is their army size greater than double the target strength? No, it's not. They're pretty much equal. Do they have more manpower? No, they don't. Is the army on the board? Nope. Place army in the area closest to the enemy. And then check for MAC, which we just went through. Does that trigger a battle? No, it won't, because it's going to be adjacent. Here, let me show you. So we're going to place the army in the area closest to the enemy, but it has to be own area, so they're going to be here. So they're going to place it in Champagne. They're one space away. And it does not trigger a battle. So then the answer is no. Is a hostile unit or area less than 2 spaces away? Absolutely yes. Move and engage. Does it trigger a battle? You betcha. And then, actually no, it doesn't trigger a battle. And then it'll be end turn. So what they're going to do is they're going to move in to that area, and no battle's triggered because Austria doesn't have their armies on the board yet. But a battle's coming. Their turn is ended. Now, if Austria doesn't intercept them, then they'll siege this down next turn. But there's going to be a battle first. Alright, that is done. Boy, France is getting hot and heavy quick. Okay, here goes Castile. They will do diplomacy. And they cause this to go away. The diplomacy costs 2 cubes.
Maybe you should just do it yourself. No, I haven't.
And remember, they're checking, do they have alliance? But they do have 2 cubes. See that? And so the 2 cubes is going to make them form an alliance. We're going to go ahead and put that there. They're going to form it with Aragon. And that allows them to add another cube to the area. And that's the end of their turn. So now it comes to us, and I haven't put any thought into what we're doing. Alright, so France is at war with somebody else. This makes it interesting. So if we want to, like, be a little opportunistic, we could try to also be at war with France. And normally I wouldn't be so crazy, but this is actually a really great idea right now. Now, the thing is that France, if we are in their territory, they will leave this area and come back to defend against us. So we have to be really careful, because if I declare war now and I march into their area, they're going to spend the whole time fighting us, because they'll defend their areas before they'll attack someone else. So I sort of have to wait and let them get bled a little bit through Austria. Now remember, they're always going to go back up to 5 cubes if I declare war on them, but there is possibly an opportunity coming, just not quite yet. And now, if we look at our objectives here, there is one that says recruit all units in the manpower pool. So I have 2 units I started the game with, and they are deployed here. Our armies are always on the map, by the way. We don't have what the bots do. And our available manpower is the smaller number here, so it's 6 plus 2 is 8. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 6 manpower available. This would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That would cost all 12 of my dollars. But I could levy the troops right away, and that would give me a claim in Ireland and a claim or 2 cubes in Scotland. Now this is really interesting. Um, yeah, because I could form an alliance with Scotland and not necessarily have to take them over. But with that being said, what I think I want to do is I want to declare war on Scotland. And they have an alliance with France, which will then cause France to answer. I'm pretty sure France is going to join the war, which will then be very interesting because I'm not invading France then. So they will not be sending their troops after me. And instead, they're busy with Austria. It's a beautiful plan. Absolutely beautiful. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a recruit action, which cost me 1 cube. And I'm going to recruit my whole lot and just make them all infantry. Now, it'd be nice if I could have a cavalry, but I can't afford it. And what the heck just happened? Maybe I already spent the money? I thought this said 12.
It's the inn, but like the inn conclusion or whatever. It just I hate it.
Maybe I spent them.
All
I don't know how that all of a sudden.
That's why
This guy made an update, and these are getting wonky. I mean, the other thing I could do is I could just.
get to a point in my life where I never have to deal with it again.
Like, I don't know why. It's like, see, that gave me 10, 11, 12.
Yes, it
Oh, there you go. That's what's going on. This reflects what's in here. So now. So if I'm going to spend 10, 11, 12.
That's not
Ah.
at all, actually.
This whole thing is new.
Because that's not my
So I don't know where I want to put it. Let's put it up in the top left corner. How about that? Yeah, I like that. Okay.
yeah.
So what I just did is I completed this quest. So I now have 1. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to use these little tokens. So this
No, that's
this
not how I
unlocked
do it.
2A. So 2A is this guy
That's cool.
right here.
Intern.
Dominate the British Isles. Alright, and I'm going to choose to get claims on both
You done?
Ireland and Scotland. And then what we'll do is we'll declare war on Scotland next. Alright, so by doing what I did, I gained 1 point. We are winning! Yay! Alright, so there we go. We gained ourselves 1 point. This is something I actually want to do, but I'm so enthralled with everything going on here.
It is a fair argument, actually.
Okay, so we do get actually to have.
The only classes I ever get to be in is English. No joke. No joke.
And
Because
so this is our next one
English is
that's
the only
active.
class that I can't do anything.
This one down here is actually worth making, maybe. Yeah, actually, I'm going to activate this one and make that one available. This is owner vassalize 7 ducats worth of tax income from any of these places. So if all goes to plan, which I don't know if it will, because I'm going to be at war with France, but to siege these down is going to cost me a lot of cubes. And so taking Scotland is going to basically use up everything. Maybe my plan to go to war with Scotland is not the best. Or maybe... Actually, this is still a good time to go to war with Scotland, because even if they suck France in, France won't do anything to help them. That's, I think, the reason why this is a good plan.
Wait, what?
Okay,
How is he doing
so our turn's over. Austria's up.
Look at this dude.
Now, normally we would draw a card, right?
Do you see this?
But Austria is
See this dude?
not at a spot where they can draw a card.
It's
So, they are under attack. And they're going to go to defend. So, they will spend 1 cube
How?
to do that.
How is he doing it?
And the defend basically means they're just going to plop on the board and attack. But let's show you. So, defend here.
No.
Any area with invaders, heck yes. Do they have 2 cubes left and an army where it can siege? The answer is no. And what they're asking is, does Austria have a place that it can siege? The answer is no. Is their army greater than double? The answer is no. Is there more manpower? No. Is their army greater than or equal? I think that's yes. They have 2, 4, 6, 8, and France is 2, 4, 6, 8. I mean, they're exactly equal.
Look at that. 115.
So, where were we at? Are
Yeah.
they greater than or equal? The answer is yes. Is the army on the map? No. Any areas with bots towns where army would not trigger a battle? Yes. So they go here. Place army in their own area without hostile units. And then it ends turn. Oh, that's not good. So basically it's spending a whole turn plopping their army down
It's really sad though.
here. And this is going to be brutal because, see this is mountains. And the mountains are going to cost them a lot of cubes to get their troops over to here to fight France.
I can get close in these three though.
Boy, this is turning into interesting.
There's
Okay, Poland is next. They are also doing diplomacy. 2 cubes. And one of these. See, there's the subjugate card. Those are highly valued cards right there. Alright, so their diplomacy is very similar. They got 3 cubes in Lithuania. And I think they actually started the game, by the way, with a royal marriage with Lithuania. So, my apologies, I forgot to put that out here. And now they're going to have an alliance with Lithuania. And so that lets them put another cube, and their turn's over. Now we go back to the Ottomans. And they're going to try to convert, which they can't do. A convert action requires them to have control of all the areas in a province, or all the provinces in an area. So, for example, this has a religion that's different. They're Muslim. They would love to convert this, but Constantinople still belongs to somebody else. Here's another one where they have presence, but there's 2 towns that are Orthodox. I mean, technically speaking, I don't know if this is Orthodox or not, but they're assumed, all NPRs are assumed to have whatever's printed on the board. So if you come over here, this is Muslim, so that's okay. This here is diverse faiths, but that's also not fully controlled by them, so they can't just assume. So that's why they can't do the action. And then up here, this is Orthodox, same deal. These 2 are not controlled. So they have to have full control over an area before they can convert it. Now, if it's your first time getting used to the game, come over to the convert action. There's our areas with religious dissent, which just, all that means is exactly what I was just showing you. Is there an area where the religion printed on the area is different than the state religion of the realm? So all those Orthodox areas are religious dissent areas. So the answer is yes. Is it Catholic, or is the Ottomans Catholic and all of its areas are Protestant, or vice versa? Nope. Are all provinces in the dissenting area owned by the bot, or by realms with the same state religion? And that's where the answer is no. So then it's going to say do the next action. It can't do anything. So that was the flowchart way of answering the same thing that I just explained. So then the next action is Papal Curia. So Papal Curia isn't going to work because these are Muslim. They don't have anything to do with the Pope. Are they Catholic? Nope. Then it says do next action. So what happens here is we didn't do either of these actions, and they're not at war, so they're not going to do the bottom action. What they do instead is they're just going to gain a cube. And how do I know this? Because it's here somewhere. Just give me a second. I don't remember where this is exactly. It might be actually... General event rules. Oh, I know where it is. This. They draw a bot card. Were they at war and it has a war action? They're not at war. Were they able to do the first action? No. Did it take effect? No. Perform second action. Did it take effect? No. They're going to score points equal to the bot spent on the drawn bot card. Actually, yeah. So they don't get a cube. They're actually going to get points. So what they will do is they will spend. Yeah, they're going to spend 2 cubes, and that's going to score them 2 points because they couldn't do the action on the card. Alright, so France is at war. So they're not going to draw a card. What they're going to do is they're going to siege. And it's 1 bot cube per tax income. And there's just 1 tax income on the area here. So what they do is they're going to siege. And it's going to have unrest like that. So they basically occupied that area. Now, there are these occupied markers that you can put on. But when you have one over top of the other like that, we found that those represent occupied just fine. Also, if you're playing with a physical copy of the game, there's not a lot of these markers. And if you have to put these out for this module, there's going to be only like 3 or 4 of these left. So it actually becomes problematic to have occupied markers on like that. So, now, when you're playing with this type of mode, though, there's an unlimited number of these, so you can get away with it. Okay, that's France's whole turn. Now we go to Castile. They are going to do naval, which causes one of these to go away. It costs them 1 cube. So the way naval works is... Oh, I forgot to put ships out. I should have 1 here and 1 there. They do a check to see if they have less than 5 ships on the board, and they do. And then they're going to put another one of these out. And the place they're going to try to put it is an area where it's between 2 trade nodes. So let's verify. Okay, any hostile sea zone. There's no hostile, they're not at war with anybody. Any sea zone without bot ships adjacent to their current ports. And the answer is no. Do they have 5 or more ships on the map? No. Any main map Z zone without bot ships adjacent to any of the bot ships? Yes. Place a ship in such a zone. Does it have pirates? Nope. Then they're going to draw a trade card. So they're going to take one of these, and basically they're asking about their ports. So they have a port in the Western Mediterranean. This one, technically it has a port. See this port? It's in both this zone and that zone. So they would have put their ship here to represent their port. Otherwise, they would have gone here, because that's between this and this zone. This is another option, but see, there's no trade. There's only 1 trade zone for this one, so that's why this one would have won. But with that said, there's no pirates next to where they went. Otherwise, they would have gone to war against pirates and tried to get rid of them. So what they're going to do is they're going to actually draw a trade card. And I like to have the rules up here, but let's go ahead and draw the trade card. Now this applies to everybody in the game. So Bordeaux is, for example, near France. So France is going to be able to use Bordeaux, and I think maybe even Spain can use Bordeaux. So if there's any bot that can use any of these 3, then what happens is they get 2 cubes. And then if we can use it, we'll be able to use it for actual money. And then the bot, in this case Castile, would get 2 points. So let's do Bordeaux first. Bordeaux is here, and France for sure is there. So France will get 2 cubes. Now Castile is there. They just move their merchant over, and they don't start the game with 2 merchants. Bots do not start with 2 merchants, and neither does France. In fact, I put 2 merchants out for all these, and I apologize. They don't get 2 merchants each. And Austria, I don't think I put... I did put 2 merchants out. There's one there. Oh yeah, this one goes away. Okay, so now if you set up your game, you might be saying, hey, well, hold on, Jeff. France's merchant starts here. That might be true. I'd have to go check the card on which of the 2 places they start at for a bot. But during this phase, the bots get to move their merchant. So, for example, Castile for sure is down here. They would also get to move it. And what's the rules for allowing them to move it? If they can trace a path that goes back to their capital using ships from that area, and Spain for sure can, they can trace a path this way or another path this way. There was 2 different ways. So that's why both of them get to benefit from it. Alright, so then Astrakhan was the other one, which is here. No one's going to benefit from that one. And Baltic Sea is here, and no one benefits from that. And we know this for sure because Poland, as you can see, does not have a naval presence. So nobody does, in fact. So it's going to be a nothing burger for them. Alright, so that card is done, and their turn is over. Now it comes to us. So we are low on cubes, but we can do a national focus thing. But for now, I'm going to declare war on Scotland. And when we declare war on Scotland, so last time I did a recruit. Now I'm going to declare war. And it says see backup player aid. So when we declare war, we determine our targets. We have a casus belli. So because we have a claim, we get to call to arms anybody that help us. NPRs will send defensive call to arms, and we'll get to that in a second. And because this is an NPR, we're going to lose both of our cubes. That happens. We lost all goodwill with them. We're not triggering any battle, so we're going to get to do a free either recruit or move. So in our case, we would do a move. And that's going to trigger stuff as well. There would be a naval battle here, but as you can see, we don't have any ships in their areas. So no naval battle gets triggered. So let's keep going. Now, the NPR is going to try to use their alliance here. So they're going to send a call to arms. NPR allies can only be called to arms if they are at peace. So actually, France isn't even going to help them. Well, actually, no, they're not an NPR. Hold on. They're a player. PR allies. Here we go. Calling a PR ally is always free, but a PR ally may refuse. If a call to arms is from an NPR, the receiver must decide. I think we have to go look at the bot rulebook. Yeah, this isn't addressing what a bot would do. So, the good news is it's here. So here we go. A bot will always refuse offensive. A bot will always accept defensive, unless it's already at war with an opponent. A bot emperor will activate defending HRE whenever it can. So France refuses. That is very interesting. So it was still great on our part. It was perfect timing to take down Scotland, and then we avoided a war with France. So France refused the call to arms. So now we got to go back to here. They lose their alliance. Um, they lose 2 points and remove 5 cubes in their area. Holy cow! This is awesome. Yeah, we just really hosed France here. Okay, they lose their alliance. They lose their influence cubes, which is great. And the part that was added benefit is they lose 2 points. So look at that. That's a little symbol for negative points. That's awesome. All right. So now we're going to trigger a battle. So they got 1, 2. Their tax value is 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're going to generate 4 units to fight against us. Since they have more than 3 power. So since they have more than 3 power, they get to draw to see if they're going to have a general. So you draw the card, and so you can see there's no general on the bottom of it. It's an advisor, so they don't get a general to support them in a battle, which is good for us, because the general means they get to roll extra dice. Now, the thing that drives me nuts about this game is battles are resolved differently if it's a bot versus if it's an NPR versus if it's us. And if it was an NPR against the bots, the NPR would just roll 4 dice, and then it's just one time, and that's it. Against us, it's a fight to the death. Now, the fight to the death happens because we're fighting against the capital. If we were somehow adjacent to the capital, they would roll 1 time and then run away. But this is a fight to the death. Now, anytime we're doing a battle, it is on the back. We roll 3 infantry dice, and that's it. We score a hit if we get either of these, and then if we have cavalry or cannons, we only score a hit if we actually have them. If we roll them, and we actually have them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider adding my general, or my leader, to the battle. So see, he's a really weak one, but he adds 1 extra die. Now, the risk I'm taking is if they roll 2 of the double-sided ones, my leader will get injured in the battle. But I'm going to take that chance. So for me, I'm going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4. I normally only get to roll 3, but I'm going to add 1 more because I got my leader, and I'm going to roll. So here you can see we did 2 hits on the NPR. Now, you could represent the NPRs with these little units here. So just imagine there was 4 of them, and I just killed 2. Alright, so now they get to roll defensively, and it's the same deal. They're rolling 3 dice just like us. If they had a general, that would have given them more dice. So now they're going to roll 3 of these. I'm ignoring this one, and they do 1 hit on us. So we lose 1 guy, and he goes into the exhausted manpower. Unlike the bots, we don't have them available anymore. So now we're going to go again. Now, this double-sided thing, if we would end up getting some of those, or a pair of those, I mean, that's what would have caused the wound for us. So we still get to roll 4 dice. And we just did 1, 2, 3 hits. And they're showing it down here, which is really cool. So we finished them off. There was only 4 of them. And we killed 2 the first time. We just killed off the other 2. Alright, so now they still get the roll, though. And they're rolling these 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this die away. At least I thought I was. I still don't understand. There we go. So we're saying 3 of them. There we go. So there was 2 of them left. Let's say they would have rolled 3 of these. Um, even though they rolled 3 hits, they would only applied 2 hits because it's 1 hit per unit. Now they do just 1 hit, and so that's fine because we still won quite handily. Alright, so they are defeated, and now it's just a matter of us being able to siege these provinces. And because we won the battle, we do get a cube back, which is extremely important, or otherwise we would not be able to do the siege. So that's it for us. Now we move on. And what's interesting is this is the one I need to have active. Is that one right there. Because I'm going to be in either Scotland or Ireland. That would, yeah, that's the one I want to have in my hand. Okay, so now we go to Austria. They're going to do the defend action again, if you remember. And their defend action, invaders, yes, no, no, no. They are equal. Yes, they're on the map. Invaders in any area where their MAC is greater than or equal, yes. So basically they're going to move to the largest invading force that qualifies for MAC. And do a land battle. Now this is the part that's interesting for them, is in order to do that they have to go through the mountains here and then over. Now, you rules lawyers can bring up an argument, which has been brought up in my multiplayer sessions. It says place army. It doesn't say move army. And so some people argue that the Austrian army just instantly teleports and ignores the mountains. And I don't see anything about the mountains here. So it would be like a conversation about terrain. When it's required for a defend action. Right here, to teleport inside its own realm, if necessary. So they don't do mountain stuff. For the military action, it can normally move 2 spaces. Bots ignore mountain border limitations. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so let's explain the rule for us normal human players. A mountain allows you to move 3 units across. And so if you want to move additional units across a mountain, you have to pay an extra cube. So your first cube for your movement is going to get you 3 units. Let's say you have 7 units. Then you're going to have to spend 2 more cubes if you want to move all 7. The second cube gets you to 6, and then the third cube gets you to 7. So unfortunately, in the defend action, they teleport, like it said. Now, if they were doing a military action, which is what France did to move from here into here, France did a military action to move in. I was going to argue that they would have to pay the mountain fee if there was one, but we just read that they ignore mountains. So it's very annoying because the bots ignore mountains, and when you play against a lot of bots and then a player actually moves across the mountains, they'll forget to check for the mountains because you don't check for the mountains when you're dealing with the bots. So anyways, I thought I was going to have something really profound to say here, but he not only does he teleport, but even if he didn't teleport, he ignores the mountains. So he's trying to get back his occupied town, so that part is a done deal. Now, bots roll 5 dice each whenever they're doing battle, and if you're ever wondering how do they do it, land battle resolution. Any enemy is a player realm. Yes. Bot is the attacker. Yes. Facing multiple. No. Battle is in main defender's realm. Yes. Um, roll battle dice. Humans roll normal. Bots roll 5 dice. Assign casualties as normal. And keeps going until there's bot remaining. So basically, the bots fight to the death. And then if Austria wins, they gain a cube. Okay, so it's 5 dice each. This is as good as any. So we're going to go ahead and roll for Austria first. They're going to apply 3 hits to France. So 3 of France goes down. Now France is going to roll. They do 2 hits to Austria. Austria rolls. 1, 2, 3 hits to France again. Now remember, this is simultaneous battles, so France still has 5 units at the moment. They just did 3 hits back. Alright, now it's Austria's turn. They're still going to roll 5 dice, even though they only have 2 units. But see, they rolled 3 hits. Oh, I'm sorry, they have 3 units, so they would actually apply 3 hits. So France is going to get wiped out. Now France only has 2 units left. They still roll 5 dice, but they could hit as much as 2. And in this case, they hit exactly 2. So Austria is going to win with 1 man remaining. Very interesting. Okay, that's Austria's turn. They did win the battle, so they're going to gain a cube back. And let's see. They defend, defend, defend. Yeah, all 3 times. Okay. Now we go to Poland. Another diplomacy. This is interesting. They're going to... Okay, so their diplomacy now, they have a royal marriage and an alliance. They have both. Now what they're going to ask is there cubes on Lithuania equal to the tax value of it? So Lithuania has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they have 12 tax value. They're very large. So it's really hard to annex them. So we have this situation. Do they have higher tax income than the NPR, who has 12? The income, the tax income for the bots is the smaller number. They have 10, 12. They have exactly equal. So the answer is no, because it's not higher or equal. So then you go down here. Do they have double? No. Can they enter a royal marriage? No. Do they have 2 or more? Yes. Is an alliance possible? No. And what they're going to do is they're going to add 2 cubes. And the alliance is not possible. Royal marriage is not possible. They're going to add 2 more cubes. So they're going to add 4 cubes. Because Lithuania also has 2 cubes. So even though this failed and this failed, they're still going to get back to this. So they're going to add 4 more cubes to Lithuania, which is very necessary. They would add 2 to the capital, and then 2 here is just fine. So the very next check, as soon as they have a higher tax income than Lithuania, is do they have enough cubes? So they need to have literally 12 cubes on Lithuanian territories to be able to annex them. But that is exactly what this action is going to attempt to do. Okay, so now we go to the Ottomans. They're going to try to do diplomacy, which is... Or no, I apologize. They're not. We have to check. How many cubes have they spent and how many they have left? They have 4, and they spent 5. So they're not going to draw a card in that situation. That's this situation. They're not at war, so then they're going to go do an event, and if they already have an event, they're going to pass. So the Ottomans. Oh no! What happened to the? Oh, he changed it. All right, so there we go. They're going to do their event. So let's roll this die. A 1. And just to help you out, if you're doing an event action, basically you're going to roll and do one of these. A 1 is they pick the leftmost, 2 is middle, 3 is right, 4 is an opponent, and a 5 and 6 is your own. And what does it mean by opponent and your own? I'll show you in a second. But they're picking the leftmost because they rolled a 1. But this is the Ottomans, and the Ottomans actually have their own out here. So if they would have rolled a 5 or a 6, they would have selected this one. They're selecting it anyways because they rolled a 1, but that's neither here nor there. They would have selected anything that was here. Now, an opponent one is this one. This one belongs to Poland. So they would have chosen that one if they would have rolled a 4. But they rolled a 1, and so they luckily chose their own. And I like to discard them right here. So, alright, we did that. And then these are going to shift down, and then the next one comes out. And so you got revolts, and then we're going to go ahead and I used to like the fact that here they go. This used to be a double ducats. Right, I just drew one. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. That's what I need, right there. I like these because these represent 2 ducats, and I'm just going to clone a bunch. Alright, so the ones that weren't selected get 2 ducats on them. And yeah, I could have just as easily grabbed, 1, 2 of those. But I like the fact that they're in pairs, because it's real easy to, these automatically get 2 every time. So obviously this is incentive to take these ones. This is the new one. Alright, so let's go back to here. The bots, if it belongs to an opponent, they will always choose B. If it belongs to themselves, or it does not belong to an opponent, like border friction and revolts don't belong to an opponent, they will always choose A. It's that simple for the bots. So they're going to choose A here. It says, Ottomans may declare war on Venice. If they do, they gain a cube and a claim on the Aegean archipelago, or Greece. And the papal controller may pay 1 to call a crusade on the Ottoman area, and you gain 1. Okay, a lot going on here. First thing, anytime they have a choice, they always answer yes. Now, we're doing events, so they're going to use choice processes on page 3. If they have to choose between something, they pick the first option on all sub-options. So if there's options, they always choose the first one. And they pick option A when they're not an active player. Now, the choice section we've already done for this here, but this is just choosing, realms, opponents. Like, none of that applies in this situation. So, they're always going to choose yes to whatever, if they can afford it. So here, they may declare war. The answer is yes, they will declare war. So the Ottomans are going to declare war on Venice. And Venice actually has territory down here, right here. Crete and Naxos. So it is relevant. They're going to gain a claim in that area, because clearly that's where they're trying to declare their war. If they do, they gain a cube, because it doesn't matter what type of cube it is, they just gain a bot cube. Um, and then, would it be on Aegean Archipelago or Greece? Well, in this case, when you have two choices, this is the um, first of all, it's the first choice, and then secondly, it's alphabetically higher up. But it makes the most sense. I mean, they would put it on Greece, but Greece is not Venice because they're declaring war on Venice here. So let's not forget they're going to gain a cube because the card told them to. Now, anytime a bot has, well, no, they're declaring war. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. Now that they've declared war, they're going to spend one cube to recruit. Now, where am I getting that from? Well, that's, again, it has to do with this. Bots declare war. It's not always via military action. They do it through events. Bots joining war. Actually, I got that wrong. My apologies. They only get a free recruit whenever somebody declares war on them. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I am totally cool with that because the bots cheat too much as it is. Okay, so they gain that cube, and they're going to gain a cube down here because it just says you gain. Because remember, somebody else could have played this card, not just the Ottomans. So they're going to gain another cube, which is good. Now that they're at war, they're not going to pass. They also have more cubes than they've spent, but that's neither here nor there. When they're at war, the checks to see if they're less than 4 cubes before they would pass. So they're going to continue going even if they have less cubes than they've spent. Or, I'm sorry, even if they, if they have less cubes than they spent. Okay, so, but that's not it. The Papal Controller now can pay a cube to call a crusade on the Ottoman area. And remember, they always take the first option, which is yes. And so, if so, that would be Spain. And I forgot to set that up. But England is last. Then Poland. Then France. And then Spain. Oh, forgot Austria. So there's 5 Catholic countries. Spain is the leftmost, so they're the papal controller. And you might be wondering, well, where did you get that from? Right here. Castile, Austria, France, England. Oh, Poland's actually the last one. So here you go. There's 5 of them that are taken. Okay, so the leftmost wins. And some of that's written down on here. Whoever has the most on the track, tiebreaker is leftmost. So that is Castile. And Castile has the cube. So they're going to spend their diplomatic cube. And they're calling a crusade. Which, this is just getting more and more interesting by the minute. So their crusade is on what, though? On an Ottoman area. Alright, well, they choose the area that's highest in alphabetical order, which would be Aden? Yes, it would be. So, basically, there's... Oh my gosh, this is getting complicated in a heartbeat. Alright, so now there's a crusade going on. And I'm sure there's something in here about the crusade. Give me a second. I can't believe there's nothing in here about the crusade. There's gotta be. I'm just missing it. Hold on. Bot Emperor. HRE. Wow. I would swear they had rules for the Crusade. Let me pause. I'm going to look. Okay, I can't find anything in here that specifically talks about the Crusade. But let's not get confused with things. The Crusade is a simple concept. Well, it's not simple, but the Papal Curia has actions. And so, page 46, they get to call the Crusade. They select a target area. They immediately take a free declare war action, targeting any Muslim realms, to gain a point. And 2 free mercenary units, which the bots never use. If you do so, tag the committed to Crusade slot on the status mat with a tag chit. So basically,
You should play it. It's free.
if a bot declares war on the Ottomans, they are going to gain a point. They get 2 merc units for free. I don't believe bots use merc units, so we can ignore that. But we could do that, for example, and we would get 2 merc units. We're a million miles away from them, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Why do you ban them?
The Crusade token provides a Holy War Casus Belli for all Catholic realms.
Yes, she is.
Then you tag the committed to Crusade slot on the status mat. Multiple PRs may be committed at the same time. So the committed to Crusade is just this area here. And basically, when this happens, every realm gets to decide if they're going to declare this war and join the Crusade. So, all right, we're getting into all kinds of stuff that I haven't necessarily resolved before. I don't think the bots use mercs. I'm pretty sure on that. So we're just going to roll with that. If somebody actually has some rule clarification there, please let me know. Like here you can see bots never have exhausted manpower. And it's because they never have exhausted manpower. There's no point in having a merc. For us, we would use a merc because we have exhausted manpower. Okay, so then the question becomes, are they going to declare war? Because they called the Crusade. The Castile calls this Crusade. They don't even have the ships necessary to get there. This is just insanity. But they always choose the first option. So Castile is going to declare war, and that's going to cause the Ottomans to gain a cube, because war was declared on them, and then they'll spend it to get their free recruit action. And Spain scores a point for this, but don't get excited, because at the end of the round, if the Crusade was not successful, they all lose points. Then it goes to me, and I'm not getting into that shenanigan. The Ottomans, or sorry, Austria is already at war. So remember, they don't do a call to arms, and a Crusade is a call to arm situation. Actually, that might be where the rule is. Let's check that out. Call to arms. Nope, it's not there. This is a great place where it should be, though. But I think that rule does apply. Like, Austria would never join a war against the Ottomans for that reason, and neither will France. So those are out. But Poland, however, will, because they're just as dumb, and so they declared war on the Ottomans, and they score a point. for now. Okay, that's that. Whose turn was that? Oh, that was, jeez, that was the Ottomans' turn. Now the Ottomans have more than 5 cubes, so they're not going to gain any free cubes either for somebody declaring war on them. So now it goes to France. So France was wiped out, by the way, so their army's technically not on the board. Now, you would think, okay, France is going to grab more units, but they're really... I mean, you could argue that because this is occupied, this is theirs. So they're going to do a defend action, and I think that is the correct way to interpret it. So they're going to do it to defend, and let's go through it slower, but... Enemy areas with invaders, yes. Can they siege? No. Is the army greater? No. Do they have 2 cubes left and can recruit? Yes. They're going to spend 2 to recruit 9 units. They'll keep doing this until they're out of manpower. And then is their army greater? It'll be yes. Are they on the map? No. Can they deploy? Yes. And that's exactly what they'll do. So they're going to spend 2 cubes now to recruit 9 units. And there you go, there's 8. They're going to drop their army, once again, as close as possible to where they're being invaded, but then their turn's over. Now, this is where it's going to be interesting, because Austria is going to siege this back, and then they're not being invaded anymore. So, France is going to lose that territory. So now we move to Castile, who is now at war. They don't do anything special because they're at war yet, but the whole check to see if they've spent more than they have gets modified. So they're going to do an event, which is super interesting. Alright, so they also do an event. Let's roll. They rolled a 3, which means they're taking revolts. Man, this is getting so bizarre. Alright, so now 4 more ducats come out. And the Hungarian-Austrian event is out. So Castile's going to gain a cube. Then they have to choose an area where they have a town without unrest and another adjacent to it, and add unrest to 2 towns in each area. And I just realized something. We need to resolve the pirates. This is absolutely crazy that the bot would do this. But anyways, let's do the pirates first. I'm going to roll die. And the way I do it is I go counterclockwise, starting from the top right all the way down to the bottom right. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out where are pirates going to go. So I rolled a 4. So if we just go, we start where there's a merchant. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where the pirate goes. So a 5 was possible. We would have re-rolled on a 6. Okay, that was from a long time ago. Now we're getting back to this. So they have to pick a spot that has their towns and then an adjacent. I did speak with somebody affiliated with the development or playtesting of the game. I don't know what their actual role was, but they're affiliated with Board Game Geek. You'll notice that on Board Game Geek there's a thread that talks about how bots will handle events, and so it's got like this. It's got real radical suggestions. It's different than what we're doing, right? And in fact, that last one that we just spent a lot of time trying to resolve, I'm sure they have a completely simple version, right, that you could do. Well, basically, he's associated with that as well. And he answered a couple questions for me. The first one is, in a situation like this, there is nobody with towns adjacent to them other than themselves. So the first half of the question was, would they at least try to... I mean, because when they're selecting an area, they would just select the area with the lowest tax. Because that's what the rules say. But then they could potentially be selecting 2 of their own areas. So the first answer is that the second area does not have to have towns. So, for example, this is the lowest tax area here because it has 3. Actually, this is the lowest tax area here. And so the second area um, doesn't need to have towns. So they could choose this, flip that over, and then Madeira be the second area, and they're just going across the water. That's allowed. The other thing is what if, let's say, they controlled this area here? They so what was suggested is that they would have chosen this area because then the second area would have been France, so they would have impacted another player, and they would try to maximize damage to another player when they deal with a card like this. I like that answer, and that's the way I'm going to be playing a lot of these. Is we're going to try to maximize damage to other players or minimize damage to themselves, which is what happened here. So they chose this, and the second area was Madeira, and nothing happened. Now, adjacency is as you see it in the areas, but adjacency is also as long as they have a ship, if their ports share the same sea zone, then that's considered adjacent. Okay, so we did that.
He's not here though.
Circles are going to get sick. That's us. That only affects the human players, and then they're going to roll rebel dice. That's what this is. So let's go make sure we deal with our sickness here. I have 1 circle. So we already got somebody sick. Jerk. And then rebel dice. I think the only person who has unrest is Castile right now. So they're going to just roll 1. So this is going to cause them to lose a cube. And the answer that you seek is here. So this will be a rebellion, just like the normal rules. Normal rules, but everything else causes them to lose a cube. And the most important thing to remember is that they will never roll more than 5 dice, and they lose a maximum of 1 cube each time. So even if they rolled 5 of these, which would indicate they're going to lose 5 cubes, they only ever lose 1. But in this case, they lose 1. Alright, so Spain is done. It was a really weird event for them to take. So now it's us. We need 4 cubes to siege all this. And how do I know this? Well, it costs 1 cube to do a siege action. Which is on page 28 of the rulebook. So that'll cost me 1 cube. The siege action can be explained pretty simply. You pick one of your army units. Doesn't matter which one. Well, it matters. And then you use their siege value to determine how many of these they can siege. So every infantry unit has a siege value of 1, and this has a tax value of 1. So it takes 1 infantry per town. And then you can spend extra cubes for every additional unit you want to add to the mix. So I got 4 infantry available, so I would need to spend 1, 2, 3, 4 cubes. Now cavalry are considered half siege strength, so I would need 2 cavalry just to do 1 city, or 1 town. And we're talking level 1 towns here, which is what these are. If you were trying to siege a big town like Bordeaux, that's a 2 tax value. So it would cost 2 infantry just to siege that town. And if there was 2 of those towns, it would cost 4. Or if there was a big town and 3 little ones, right, it would be like that. Anyways, the artillery has a siege value of 2. So an artillery by itself can siege down a large town. And we don't have artillery yet, so that's not an issue. So I need 4 cubes, is really what I'm trying to say. 1 to do the action. This guy is free with the action. And then 3 more to add to the action to be able to siege the whole area. And that's exactly the situation here. We need to siege 4. So there's an action called Change National Focus. We're going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is put this cube here to show that we're changing our focus. And then I can take one cube from here and move it over, and one cube from here and move it over. And we're basically changing our focus to focus on military.
Okay.
So now I have my 4 cubes that I need to siege down Scotland. The next thing that you could do with this action is I can then discard up to 3 of my cards and replace it with X minus 1 cards from the draw pile.
Well, I don't know what you want me to do
So
because I go in, I feel like I'm
I am going to do 2 cards, this one and this one. And I have several choices whenever I do this. So let's take one of these. I'm just going to drop it over there. It helps if you zoom out. Okay, I'm going to discard these 2 cards, which lets me draw 1 card from either here or from the discard. And if I draw from the discard, it has to be the top 5 cards in the discard. It's like this one is the coveted one that everybody goes after.
going.
Because the subjugate lets you vassalize or annex somebody. So I have to discard cubes that are equal to their tax base,
He's why?
and it lets you annex somebody. So I think I'm going to do it. So I'm going to discard this and this and take a subjugate. Now you might be wondering, like, why do I need a subjugate? And my answer is, I have Portugal here. So Portugal has a tax base of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need 6 cubes on Portugal. And then because there's a yellow cube here, I need a 7th. But with a subjugate card, I already have an alliance and a marriage. I'll be able to take them for 7, because with a marriage, I just need to have my tax base to be greater than theirs. If I don't have a marriage, I need double. And I can vassalize Portugal, which I think is worth doing. And then later on, I could even annex them, potentially. But that's a lot of actions for another time. Now, in order to do what I just did, I have to discard one of my cubes. Now, if I would have drawn blindly, it would have cost me nothing. I just had to discard 2 cards. I could have drawn 1. But because I chose to grab from a discard pile, I have to spend a cube. So I'm going to spend an... I'm going to spend an admin cube. And then it cost me 2 ducats. And you'll notice I don't have any. So I'm going to just grab 3 ducats here. And I'm going into debt. Now, to go into debt, you get 5 ducats every time. And then it costs you 6 ducats to pay it back. And so this here is an expensive one during every time I do upkeep. And I apologize to the folks, and I thank the folks who pointed that out. I swear to you, I played 5 or 6 games of this where myself and all the other humans who were reading the rules, we all played that that this was 10 ducats. And I don't know where we got it from. I don't know why we thought it was 10, but it's 5. And it's as plain as day. If I find the section where it's described, oh, it's one of the actions, the generic action, page 12. You can always do a minor action for free, and one of them is take a loan. As long as you don't have 5 or more, you can take a loan, and it's 5 ducats, and then you have to pay 6 to get rid of it. So, again, my apologies. That's part of the reason why I deleted that video that I had previously made. Now, one thing I should have done, maybe differently. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to retcon my decision here. So, just remember everything I explained, because it's going to happen. Okay?
Because I thought you
I'm
were
going to grab this. This is currently at the top of the discard pile.
so it was
Okay?
right on it, but she stayed in her shower.
I'm going to go ahead and just move these cubes back. What I'm going to do before I try to do national focus is I'm going to do a trade action first. Let's get some money and then do things differently. Alright, so trade action for us is we grab 1, 2, 3, flip them, and we pick one. And right there I see English Channel. That's the one I want. I also have North Sea here, which has Lancashire, Northumberland. So 1, 2. I got two choices basically. So let's pick one. So North Sea, I have a merchant. Right here. I don't have any ships though
I can't.
to help me. Did I set this up right? I think I did.
Oh, we stayed.
English Channel and North Sea. Except
I got him. There we go.
there's no ships there, which is really bizarre. Now what I could do is I can move a ship from the Eastern Atlantic to there, or from here to there, and basically what that allows me to do is I would then be able to use the North Sea to do business. So Lancashire and Northumberland are 2, and that's a 3, and then a ship here would be 4. When you do a trade action, you get to move a merchant for free, you get to move one ship for free, and a move is 2 spaces. So I can move this one to here, or I can move this one to there. I have to be able to trace a path to my capital using ships that connect to that North Sea zone.
No, he's not. Not even close.
So if I want to use this North Sea zone, like I said, I would have a merchant, which is 1. I would have one ship, which is 2. And then I have Lancashire for 3 and Northumberland for 4. So that would put me here in the 3 to 5 range, and that would give me 7 ducats. So that's option 1. The other option is I can do the English Channel, and I have London, and I think I have Cow. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think I have both of those, so let's go check. So I have this, and I have London. Okay, so I have 2. Then this is 3, this is 4, and that's 5. And I can even move this ship here to make it a 6 if I wanted to. So let's figure this out. I can get 7 ducats there, but with 5 I can get 8 ducats, and with 6 I can get 11 ducats. So I'm going to choose English Channel, and I'm going to make it a 6. So I'm going to move this here to make it 6 so I can get 11 ducats. Now, that gets knocked over, which is really hard to do in Tabletop Simulator. But what that means is I can't choose this one actively again. Now, if France or somebody else were to trade here, I could still use my merchant to collect money on somebody else's action. But on my own action, I have to use this merchant. And it has to be, I can't bring him here. So I'd have to do this, or if I had ships over here, I could have done Bordeaux. Like this ship here would let me do Bordeaux. But by doing that, English Channel is done. And like I said, I moved it so I can gain 11 ducats. So that's a really good... And then I keep forgetting, but I have this now. 10, 1.
What?
There you go, 11 ducats. And I probably should stop using this as a cube dispenser. There you go, 11 ducats. This thing is now using that somehow. Alright, fair enough. So now I'm going to be able to afford that card. Okay, let's move on. Austria. Using their... I'm still going slow here. But they're going to siege. They're not going to defend. There's nobody attacking them. But they need to siege something. So they're going to spend 1. And basically remove the occupation. Sorry, I'm just looking at my missions here. And so France is... Oh, and I just realized they had unrest, so France should have rolled. So that causes them to lose a cube. That is important. Now, why did I do that? When Castile did that event that rolled rebel dice, all unrest rolls, and there was unrest in that town because clearly that town didn't want to be sieged by France. Okay, so it's liberated. Now, on the Discord channel, where developers are answering questions, people were asking, is this supposed to be an unrest? And I think if you follow the rules to the letter, that would be the case. But the answer was is that when you're liberating a town to the original owner, there is no unrest. Okay? So, so Austria made everything right with the world again with that. And that's all they do for their turn. So now we move to... Oh, they still only have one unit. But that's all they needed. Okay, now we move to Poland. Poland is technically at war. So, they have less cubes than they spent. But if you check...
I killed the Ari, though.
They do have less cubes than they spent, but they're at war, and they have at least 4 cubes left. Yes, so they're going to keep drawing cards. Now, you might be wondering, well, how are they going to ever intervene in this war? They will intervene if they draw a military card. But instead they drew a diplomacy card. Now this, by the way, means that the subjugate card is now too deep in the discard pile. I know I still have it in my hand, but I'm keeping track. It's too deep. And then they're doing another diplomacy. So their tax base is still not greater than Lithuania, because they're still at 12, just like Lithuania is. So they're going to do the whole rigmarole, and it's going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So they're just adding cubes. So they're at 5, 9. They're at the 12 cubes they need. Okay, then we're going to go to the Ottomans, who are technically at war with several people. They have less cubes than they spent, but more than 4, or equal to 4. So they're going to draw. Now, normally it'd be diplomacy, but the black happens when they're at war. And I didn't make that mistake up here, no. When you're at war, you do the action that's in black, which is military. That's exactly what's going to happen here. So they're going to spend 3 cubes. They're going to do a military action, and they're going to do some damage. So at war, yes. Select an enemy realm with the greatest strength. That's an interesting question. So the realm with the greatest strength is not going to be Venice. It's going to be Castile.
Actually, yeah, if you alter, yes, we can.
Because they have 6 manpower. How much does Poland have? Poland has 1 plus 5, 6. They're both equal. 12. 12. They're both equal in income, too. Interesting. Well, let's just see what they're going to do, because I don't know how they're going to get to either one. So let's say they selected Castile or Poland. It doesn't matter. Is their army size greater than double the target strength? The answer is no. Can they get more? No. Is the army on the board? No. Place army next closest to the enemy. Does it trigger battle? No. Hostile area less than 2 spaces away. Move an army to within range. Or can they place a ship that would help them? Move army up to 4 spaces to non-hostile area closest to enemy. Alright, so they could... So this is the part where this gets interesting. So what they're saying is, let's say they pick Castile.
Are you okay?
They would place the army here,
I'm just gonna run away.
and then it's asking, can they place a ship that would get them to the Castile area?
You mean like
Well, the answer is
so?
no. And then they would move 4 spaces, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Well, in the rules, it says that if they move through neutral territories, they spend a cube for each one. That would be horrible.
You ran out of your little.
But let's say they pick Poland. They can go here, and they can invade Poland right away. So I'm going to say that even Poland and Castile were equal.
Well, I was trying to block.
That they're going to choose Poland because Poland's actually somebody they can attack.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is that had Poland not declared war on them, they would have just gone here
You know percent how.
because Venice is in the area, and this is their claim. But they are going to choose. They choose an opponent,
Actually just feeding.
so they're going to go here, and that's exactly what they do. And there's no battle yet, but there will be soon as Poland takes their next turn. Okay, so their turn's over. And we go to France. Now, France still has 4 cubes, so they're still going to draw a card. So they're going to try to convert. There's nothing to convert. So instead, they're going to focus on war. And that's going to cost 1 cube. Alright, so
That Malphite still deserves.
the focus on war goes here, and that's all that happens. And then the card gets discarded. It's gone for the rest of the age. So very interesting of France. Castile is going to do a military action. This is definitely getting interesting.
If you okay, even if you don't know.
So they're going to do the same thing that
Supposed to just walk up to us.
that the Ottomans just went through, except there's one key difference. They're going to spend 2 cubes because they need to get their army. In fact, they started with some. It doesn't matter how much they started with. 1, 2, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. That's their manpower. So they got the same question. Can they place a ship that'll allow them to get closer to there? And the answer is no. And then they would move 4 spaces, which is... This is still insanity. Army map on the board, no. Place in their own closest area. Trigger battle, no. Hostile, no. Can they place a ship that would help? And has not placed a ship this turn. And then they place a ship to extend the naval bridge. Trigger battle, no. Is the hostile unit at least 2 spaces away? So that's what we need to do. So let's see. They already have a ship here, so they could place a ship there. The problem is, they need... I mean, that would drop them off here.
Oh, they surrendered. Russia, I'm still up.
So their army, by the way, would have been placed here. That's the closest. And then, is this 2 spaces away from getting there? The answer is no. And so then it would do the 4 spaces. So it would go 1, 2, 3, 4. It would get very close. Holy cow. They actually would do that. Or it could be down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. Because they could have been dropped off here. They're so close. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything. So they placed this ship. Did it trigger a battle? No. Hostile units areas less than 2 spaces away, including the naval bridge. No. Can they place a ship that has not been placed this turn? No. Move army up to 4 spaces. Closest to the enemy. End turn. Now, here's the part that... Move 9. Bots must remove 1 influence from neutral areas they move into. Okay, so they don't spend cubes. They just they lose influence cubes, which that's not as big of a deal. Okay, so they just basically just walked all the way through the Mamelukes area, and they're close. 1 turn away. Alright, that's not so bad. I thought they would have to spend a lot of cubes, but they don't. So now it gets to us, and now we're going to do the action that we talked about. So I'm going to put this here, like that. We're going to focus, like that. And then I'm going to spend 2. And so you can see there's 9 that's left. And we lose another cube. So I'm going to go ahead and lose. Yeah, we'll lose an admin one. Alright, that's our turn. And we got our subjugate card. It was too deep now instead of on top. So no big deal. And I didn't have to go and take a loan, though, this time. Because by changing my turn order like that. Alright, so we go to Austria. They have a lot of cubes left. They are at war, but there's no defend action or anything. So they're going to draw a card. And they're going to do a diplomacy in the middle of all this nonsense. And I think that's another subjugate. Holy cow, those subjugates are coming out. Alright, so they spend 2 cubes. And they're going to do diplomacy, and that's... you can see they got 2 cubes here in Royal Hungary. And that's where their diplomacy is going to focus. They are supposed to have a marriage or something with them. I think I failed to set that up. They have a royal marriage. Okay, and then now they're going to have an alliance. And they get a cube along with that. Pretty simple. Okay, they have less cubes than they spent. Or they spent more than they have. They are at war, but they have less than 4 cubes. However, it doesn't go that far. And here's why. That check is down here. They are under attack. There's Ottomans in their area. So they're going to go to defend. So that costs them 1 cube. They are going to get their army out. This is crazy, but they're not even going to be able to recruit, are they? So they don't have 2 cubes to spend to recruit. But what they'll do is, at minimum, they'll get a 3rd army. So let's take you through the steps. I missed it. Here it is. Area with invader. Yes. No. Is there army? No. Do they have 2 cubes left? No. Is it greater than the invading force? No. No. If the army is less than 3, increase it to 3. So that's what I just did. Any area with the bots' towns that are occupied and no invaders? Nope. So they're going to roll a die here. And if they roll a 1 or a 2, they're going to place their army in the area with the smallest force, which is going to trigger a battle. Okay? A 3 or 4, they're going to spy. A 5 or a 6, they're going to spy, because they don't have 2 cubes. Okay? So let's roll. They're going to spy. So a spy is, they're going to just place 2 unrest in the Ottomans. And let's take you through it. Are they at war? Yes. Select the opponent. Does the opponent have 3 or more unrest? No. Add 2 unrest to the opponent's towns. So they're going to choose the highest tax area, because they want to do the most damage. So this is 3. That's 3. This is 4. So they'll pick those two. And that's it. So the Ottomans are there, and their army is still quivering off the map. So now we go to the Ottomans. They are at war. They're not being invaded. They have less than 4 cubes. But they can do a siege, and so they will do that. They're going to spend 2 cubes.
We win level 1, okay?
And they're literally sieging Poland at the moment. Holy cow. And that's exactly how that would go. France at war. Less than 4 cubes. They're going to do an event. They roll 1. So the bots don't get money. Instead, they're going to... They'll get a cube for that. So France gets 1 cube, which means that there won't be passing yet. These will slide down, and then the monies come out.
Oh, I cannot.
And there's ours.
I love.
Or the roses, which is nasty. Yeah, not very good for us. That's actually going to catch us with our pants down, to be quite honest. Okay, I was hoping we weren't going to get ours this time.
Any of my abilities.
Okay, so that was France's turn. Now we go to Castile. They have 4 cubes left. Unfortunately, even though they're in the middle of here, they're not going to do anything unless they draw another military card. And they did. Right there. 1, 2, 3. This is a very simple action. They're going to move 2 spaces. This is their target. And that's exactly what they're going to do. So the Ottomans are going to retreat because they have to. They're now in defense mode. And this is getting very interesting. Everybody's running out of cubes though. Alright, then it gets to us. I know I have Word of the Roses coming, but it doesn't matter. We need to take towns. So 1, 2, 3, 4 towns come out. All of them are occupied, and we're going to win. These will all flip over as well. We're going to have a lot of unrest coming up. It's going to be a problem, for sure. So technically, this doesn't happen yet. We don't own it until we do the peace treaty, and we have to have no unrest in our own realm, which that means we might be into the next round before this gets resolved. Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, I always forget to do this, but before I pass, I need to put this card in. But I'm waiting, because if there's any sicknesses on pluses, I don't want to play the card yet. So, it's one of those things that I'll forget to do, and then I'll remember it right when I'm supposed to be collecting income. So, just stating it right now. Okay, so now we go to Austria. Has a lot of cubes left. Now, it's less than they have, but they're at war. There's no defense or anything, so they're going to draw a card. And this gets put away. They're going to do a focus action on Eco. Okay, now we go to Poland, who is totally in defense mode. So they're going to draw, defend again. This is the same deal. They only have 3 troops. They're going to roll. They roll 2, which means that they're actually going to go to battle. If I understood it correctly. Place army in the area with the smallest invading force. Go to land battle. Holy cow. Alright, they're going to get wiped out. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Poland. Well, they do 4 hits, but they only have 3 armies. So they do take out 3 of the Ottomans' armies. Then the Ottomans are going to roll. They take out 2. I'm on the wrong side, aren't I? Yes.
It was like a hurricane.
It's those 2. So they got 1 army left. And all battles are fight to the death for the butts. Alright, so they did 1 more hit to the Ottomans. It would take a miracle for the Ottomans not to finish them off. And they do. So Poland got wiped out. They were not able to save the day. The biggest issue was they couldn't recruit. They're the ones that declared war. And let me make sure. Because it was an offensive... Bots declare war via the military action. So when they declare war, they could spend 1 to recruit units. You know what? I'm gonna retcon this, and I'm actually gonna assume that they did that. So that means they would not have done the spy action, and this would have been last round. So let's just keep going. So they lost.
I hate this freaking person.
3 units. So they would still have 3 left.
Oh my god.
And they actually would have hit, because they hit 4. So 1 more would have died. Alright, so let's go for the...
They're like, President, get down.
This is Poland.
Like, just shut up, minions.
2. 1, 2. And then the Ottomans. 2 back.
Why is AP
They're down to... This could be mutual destruction here. Okay, Poland kills the last one. Ottomans kills theirs. So this was mutual destruction. Alright, so I have to think about this. I had the Ottomans siege them down.
Haha. I hit him.
Because they did a spy action instead. But that would not have been the case here.
I need like 2 more minions.
Yeah, so I'm going to put these back. And I got to give the Ottomans 2 of their cubes back. So what would they have done instead?
Like what though? Oh.
They were at war. They would have drawn a card. And then that would have happened, and they would have taken an idea, which is just insanity, but sure. Alright, so we gotta roll a die for them.
Okay, I can't do anything. Dude literally just did all my health.
Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll explain it in a second. I wrote a 1
Oh, of course.
and a 1. So, they get an idea from here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they basically took this one. Quest for the New World. The Ottomans are thirsty to explore the New World. They score 2 points. But ignore the text.
You want me to like alt UWN?
Okay, so now it's the Ottomans' turn for real, and they want to defend, and there's nothing to defend because instead of sieging, they would have drawn that idea last time. So now Spain came in to take their territory, and they're out of cubes. So that's bad for them. And I think they already did an event, so they're going to pass. And since they're the first to pass, they're going to get 2 cubes. Right, then we go to France. They have 4 cards, or 3 cubes. They're going to draw another card. They're going to do Papal Curia. It's a very simple one. They kill whoever's at the bottom. And that causes everybody to shift down. And then they add their own cube to the front. So now they're the Curia controller. And that costs 2 to do. And admin goes away. Okay, then we got Castile, who can siege. And so they will spend their 1 cube. And believe it or not, they are sieging the Ottomans. Right there. Which one do they choose? Alphabetical.
Okay, he's clearing wave. That's what he was doing.
Jason, check this out. Spain called a crusade on the Ottomans, and they are actually sieging the Ottoman home territory.
That's cool.
The bots. Alright, now it's our turn. We got that issue, right? We're going to have a lot of unrest. The only way to remove unrest is to spend military cubes, and guess what I don't have any of? My subjugate action, I want to put cubes on Portugal. I said I needed 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 6 cubes, plus 1 because of this. I need 7 cubes on him. I already have 2. So I need to place 5. I can place this one as part of my action, and then I can place additional cubes if I had any, or I can add extra cubes for $3 each. So here you can see I can place at most 4 cubes with that action. And you can tell here, influence. I can spend 1 or 3 ducats per cube. And of course you have to have a minimum of 1 cube. So I do have 1 cube, and then I can just spend 3 ducats each. So like I said, I can go into debt if I wanted to get the extra cube out. It's not worth going into debt to do. If anything, I may want to do another trade action. But I actually think I maybe want to just do my event and be done. I can't do anything here. These cost 2 cubes each. I only have 1. And for the admin, none of these cost just 1 cube to do. So this cube right now is worthless for me. So I think I'm going to just take my event. If I pass early enough, I get ducats for passing. And I can make it so if somebody else takes my event, they would cause me to lose a point and a stability, which the stability loss is horrible.
Guys, why are we like losing?
And I don't want to do that. But I will be able to gain military cubes, which will let me eliminate unrest. This is very juicy because there's money on these, but I want to choose my own. And I have to bring the card over to my area. But let's get this out first. And that puts more money on these. Now, I don't need to keep putting money on these, because as long as there's some money on them, the bots just... Well, no, they don't just gain a cube. What am I talking about? They gain a cube for every 10 ducats. Round it up.
Let's try and do dragon.
There's 8 on this one right now. Alright, so these are the final ones. And triangles are going to get sick. So let's bring this up over to us. Triangles are going to get sick. This guy is not a triangle, so I can safely put him I know what all the events are. I know who's going to get sick and who's not going to get sick. So I'm going to go with those. This guy is also not a triangle, so I lose Henry the Sixth, who's a horrible, horrible person to have.
Smite it.
And I'm going to put this guy in his place. But I forgot, we got to do what it says first. 3 unrest and 3 rebels in Northumbria.
Why didn't you smite it?
So here's the 3 unrest.
Oh.
And 1, 2, 3 of these. That's not good. So here's the deal. If they siege these towns, I'm going to lose points. But they are naturally my town, so I'm not gonna. It's not like they're going to get liberated. Scotland, however, will get liberated back to Scotland. And that part I don't want to have happen. So my army has to stay in Scotland to deal with these these people, and then those are going to be a problem. Alright, crush the rebels. England must exhaust 2 manpower. So I have 2 exhausted already, and then I basically have to exhaust 2 more. Which, that hurts, because that puts me to only 4 left in my army. And you gotta fight these guys. Or I can add 1 in Wales and Wessex. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually keep my manpower. I'm gonna add 1 in Wales and Wessex. It's there. I'll just add 2 more. More the merrier. Then they gain 1 cube and 2 points, and then you gain 1, which you is me. So I just gain 2 military cubes, which I need, and I gain 2 points, which may not seem like much, but that's actually a big deal for me. Alright, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. We can survive this. My army is where it needs to be. I would love my army to be here or here, but this is the only real risk I have, is I don't want these to revert back to Scotland. These guys, yeah, I'm going to have to deal with them, but I can take next round to do that. And, of course, I can't complete this quest until next round because I need to have no rebels on the board. That's a tall order right now, but we'll get there. We go to Austria. They're at war. They have more than 4 cubes. And there it is, military. This is all of a sudden got so interesting. Okay, so their military is, first of all, they're going to look at their thing. Can they spend 2 cubes? The answer is absolutely they can. So they're going to recruit all their guys back. And then they're going to look and they're going to invade one of these 2 places. Which one? I don't remember.
Yeah, he's not trained. He doesn't do good, babe.
Are they at war? They're going to select France.
Yeah, but they're going to come back because they're
Was their army greater than double France's strength? No. Did they have 4 more cubes left? I believe the answer was yes. We just spent 2 for them. Are they at double? Yes. Is their army on the board? Yes. Can they siege? No. Hostile area? Yes. Move army to enemy in range? They prefer the largest enemy force. So the largest enemy force would be France, who also has 8. Okay, maybe they don't go there. It says with less than or equal. So they are going to go there. They're going to go for the battle. They get a cube if they win this battle, by the way. Now, arguably speaking, they did not have... Let's go back. Do they have 4 more cubes left and more manpower? They only had 3 cubes left. So they would have done this. Answers. They would have gone and gotten just absolutely destroyed. Yeah, they would not have recruited here.
Why?
Ah, I see. So they would not have recruited. We'll give them their 2 cubes back because they needed 4 cubes. They only had 3. They would not have recruited, and they would not have gone here because this France has more army. So instead, they would have gone here because that was within range, and it avoided the larger army. But they're still attacking France. So yeah, that's exactly what they would have done. They're not going to survive this, but that's what they would have done. Now we go to Poland, who has no cubes left. So Poland has no choice but to either pass or do an event. Looks like they're doing an event. I'm going to roll the die. I rolled a 1. So Poland is doing this event. So that's going to give them a cube. I don't know if that's going to save them. And they're going to do border friction. And they always choose A if it doesn't belong to somebody else. And then this here, this symbol means ships at sea that aren't next to a port are going to die. So this one, for example, dies. And let's do triangles are going to get sick. I know I'm doing this a little bit out of order, but sometimes I like to resolve those first. I don't have any triangles. Good, 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 good. Okay, coming back. Now let's do press claim. They're going to do A. They're going to gain a cube here and place a claim in any area adjacent to your realm and lose a total of 3 cubes from that area or areas adjacent to it. Alright, so first of all, they gain a cube. Now, where are they going to place the claim? Now, this one is a little simpler to resolve. I rolled a 2, and we just have to look on this chart and find Poland. And this is the military targeting chart. They're going to choose Prussia. And so that claim is going to go on to Prussia, which is here. That's it. That's all that does for them. They gained a cube, and they lose 3 cubes from that area or areas adjacent to it. Now here's the part that's interesting, is they lose 3 cubes from Lithuania. For basically, threatening a neighbor, and Lithuania's like, hey, we were getting ready to annex with you, and that's not any good. Alright, now it's the Ottomans' turn. They are at war. They are going to do a defend. They do not have 2 cubes to recruit, but they will be able to recruit 3. We know this because we've done the defend action several times now. Right? So they have an area with invaders. They don't have 2 cubes left. They don't have greater army force, so they're going to get 3. So then they're going to roll the die on a 1 or a 2. They're going to attack. On a 3 or a 4, they're going to spy. And a 5 or 6 is also going to be a spy if they don't have 2 or more cubes. Which they don't. So let's roll. So they're going to spy. So now what this means is they do have 3 armies, but they're not deployed. And instead they're going to go over here and pick the highest tax area and flippy flippity. Like so. And now that they have 3, if they do a spy action again, they're going to force them to roll rebel dice. Okay, France is at war. But they're being invaded now, so they're going to defend. And they don't have to recruit anything, And they're going to move in, and we're going to have ourselves a battle. France kills Austria. Austria has only one unit, so all they do is kill one of France's units. Austria only had one, and so their army dissipates. Now we go to Castile. They're out of cubes. Castile passes, and they gain. Oh, and I just realized the Ottomans they had passed. My apologies. My apologies.
Good news, we're going to lose. Bad news.
Those 2 cubes were there because they passed. Look, they even have this. Like, you can mark that they passed. Passed. Alright, it gets to us. I think,
And it's not even like close.
I'm going to spend my 2 cubes.
Guys, I'm not there. I can't.
I'm going to get rid of 2 unrest in Scotland
She only got 2 turns.
with those 2 cubes. Now we move on to Austria. They have less than 4. They are not being invaded. They are going to try to pass. They need to do the last event. So they roll. They're going to try to choose their own event, which they have. And they will. So they're going to choose this one. This is the one that's not going to be chosen. It's going to do attrition, which is going to be a very interesting one when we get to there. They're going to choose their own event, and they're going to choose A. This here means a cardinal dies, and they always choose the weakest one, which is ours. And again, I know I'm doing it out of order, but we got to do this part here. They're going to insist on restoring union, so they're going to gain a point, and claims in Royal Hungary and Hungarian Plain, and flip royal marriage to the burning side. And they're going to gain a cube. So Austria gets a point. Austria gets a cube. This is going to flip, which is going to hurt Austria. And they're going to gain a claim here and another claim there. And that's it for them. Okay, they're done. Poland has 2 cubes left. Nothing to do. Poland is going to pass. That means we're not going to get hardly anything. Ottomans have already passed. France is left. They have 1 cube. Nothing to defend. France is passing. Everybody only gets 1 more turn left. We have only 1 turn left. We could do something with our diplomatic power if we wanted. I think there's no advantage in passing. I'm going to go ahead and just put a cube on Portugal. I don't know if I'm going to spend my money. Should I? I'm going to have to spend money eventually.
Guys, we're losing our towers.
Like, I'm sort of just wasting that cube. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to go ahead and pass. So, I'm done. Austria's left. They actually can do another action, and they will. Get rid of unrest or focus on politics. So they cause card to get discarded. Cost them a cube. And this will go away.
I can't catch up.
Now, when they do the focus action, I know you might be thinking, well, that means they're just going to put a cube here on politics. But no, they're actually going to take the economic one, because that's the cube that's already there. And that, by the way, is going to give them a cube, and I'll explain why in a second. But they're going to gain the economic focus. So we come over here, and the economic focus is this one, which, gosh darn it, was one that we were very capable of doing. And so they just took the 5 points. And I am wrong. You're going to gain 2 cubes for that, not just 1. So they're going to get another cube. Alright, so everybody was only allowed to take 1 more action, so now Austria has to pass. And they will. So it brings us to near the end of the round. So the last one we got to do is this guy, and he's going to cause attrition. So any army on the board loses 1 strength for every 4. Now when you're playing with this mod, it says all players at war lose 1 land unit for every 4. This used to say something different, but now it's this is actually reflective of the current rules. So everybody except for me is at war. No, I'm at war too. Oh my gosh. So everybody's losing 1 unit out of every 4. Poland has none. Austria has none. I lose 1. I lose 2. What a jerk. France is going to lose 1, 2. It's rounded up, which is why they're losing more. And then 1, 2 for Spain as well. Okay. So next thing, we're now at the end of the round, and we start here. Any truces or casus bellis, there aren't any. There's no NPR invasions. This would require somebody to be at war with an NPR, and the NPR is completely untouched, unharmed. That's not the case here. This one, which is going to be a big step, rebels are going to siege or move. And in my case, it's going to kill us. So, rebels are sieging here. So 1, 2, and 3. They just sieged all 3 towns.
Okay, I'm going to bed.
Nobody moves because all 3 of them sieged. Then we do peace resolution. So let's start with our own first. We have a total victory. So if you have any questions on how to do peace resolution, you can go here. This second page on your player aid is the peace resolution, and you can follow it along. However, it's flawed. It makes it out if you're at war with a bot, you follow the bot peace resolution. Then if you go here, if a bot's involved, they do this peace resolution here. But this is where it's flawed. I'll explain the flaw as simply as possible, but in the regular rule book, there's a whole section on peace resolution. And right here, page 29. So when you go to this peace resolution, if you have a total victory or anything to that point, you get to enforce the decision. The victor must enforce peace terms. All wars where total victory has been achieved must be resolved before moving on. The victor must enforce peace terms. But in the other case, where you have a partial victory, the player has met partial victory, they may choose to enforce. This is the critical thing, and it's missing when you're going through the bot charts. The bot charts are going to make it sound like, hey, unless the war is favorable to us, we refuse to any peace terms. And what that's trying to say is that the bot will never agree to peace unless it's favorable to them. But if you're the one that's winning the battle, you can force the bot to peace terms. And if you follow the flowchart, it doesn't sound that way. It sounds like you're forced to go they refused to sign the peace treaty, so you got to go another round at war with them. And that's exactly what I did in my video that I deleted. And I did that properly. Like, there was a couple other rules I was getting wrong, but this is one of those cases where I am getting it right. So you can enforce peace if you are the one that's got a partial victory or total victory. A total victory, you must do it. A partial victory, you may do it. And here you can see the PR's deployed land units outnumber the deployed land units of their enemy 2-1. So if you have a player enemy, you got to outnumber them 2-1 in order to claim your partial victory. If you have an NPR or bot enemy, the deployed land units must outnumber the total number of soldiers in their areas plus any deployed enemy land. It's rebel soldier. This is rebellion in their area plus any deployed land units. And it's not 2-1 in this case. This is just going to be greater. And anyways, as long as you meet these conditions here, then you can enforce your treaty. And then you can see there's a whole bunch of different choices, and they got a really nice chart here. So if you have a partial victory, you can enforce any of these, and you just read them, and it tells you what you get for each one. So we're doing total victory. And total victory is as simple as this. These towns are all mine, and I get to choose if I remove this claim, which I am, I get to flip 2 towns over. So by removing the claim, I get to remove unrest on 2. So right now I only have unrest in these areas here, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but Scotland is at least secure for now. Okay, that was me. Now we got all kinds of stuff going on. So you got Austria here, who's at war with France. Neither of them have taken any territory from each other. So what this is called a forced white peace. And the white peace is not an option, it's forced. So now in your physical copy, these tokens have truce written on the other side. That's not the case here. So what I do is I just put a little tag, a little chit token out like this to show that they're at truce with each other. Okay, and then we go to Poland. Poland's at war with the Ottomans, and they are forced to a white peace as well. So again, well, I'll put it on eventually, and then Ottomans. I'll put one on Poland, even though I never bothered. Now, this is interesting because this is a crusade. Crusades have a different set of rules for the resolution of them, but they are technically at war. So, this is a great... Yeah, they're technically at war. So, the truce token still comes out. And then... okay, so the Ottomans have Spain and Poland. And of course, I don't know why I'm grabbing the wrong thing. This is a partial victory. It is not a white truce. So, a couple of things. First of all, the white peace causes Austria and France to lose a point. France is now at -3 points. Poland is going to lose their point, and so will the Ottomans, because they had a white peace. Spain, however, is going to take one province, and the bots score points when they take provinces through victory. How do I know? They do their stuff here, the peace resolution. So automatic white peace, they each lose a point, and that's what we just resolved. So here they're at war with another bot. Was their army greater than the enemy bot's army? Well, that's a good question. I forgot to check that. The Ottomans had an army of 3. Yes, they were. They were. The tax value of enemies du jour provinces occupied by the bot is greater than occupied by the enemy. The answer is yes. Do they occupy the capital? No. Do they occupy any of the bot's towns? Yes. If possible, swap any towns, end war, and then right here, score points equal to the tax income of the retained provinces. So what happened is Castile pulled the deal of the century, and they actually now control one town in that area. I'm super impressed by it. Okay, we already resolved the France and Austrian, and I think that's it. We're done. Okay, so let's keep going. The right here, the crusades and power struggles are done here at step E. So we're going to resolve that later. Okay, we're up here. So next we do is prestige penalties. So this is going to hurt me and Austria. Austria has a marriage on fire, which is a royal a succession issue, and they were supposed to go to war and actually win the war to pull this off, and they didn't do that. So this does flip back over, but Austria loses 3 points for it. And then me, I have rebels that are controlling 3 of my towns, and so I lose 3 points for it. So I am now at -1. I am joining France in the negative department. So that hurts, and no, I don't get points for taking Scotland. I do get extra tax and all kinds of other stuff though, so it was still a glorious thing for me to do. Alright, so that's the prestige penalties. Interregnum just means that your leader's dead, and I don't have a dead leader. It only affects players. It never affects the bots. Religious dissent. The bots cheat big time here, but you're supposed to go through every area, and everywhere where the religion is different than you're going to get unrest. So in Castile's case, that's here. So they're going to get unrest on this one. Castile will always choose the lowest tax value one. Now, what do I mean by them cheating? If Castile also had territory down here in Morocco, which is Muslim, the bots, doesn't matter how many areas there are, only one unrest happens. And you're going to see that occur right here in the Ottomans, because they got 1, 2, 3, they got 1, 2, 3 of them, right? And so that's going to cause unrest. Normally it should be in all 3 spaces, but it's only going to be 1. And they're going to choose the lowest tax, which is this one. And then Poland has the same issue. They got, if you're ever a player playing as Poland, this is brutal. But they got 3, and this is the lowest tax. Orthodox. Poland is Catholic. So all the Orthodox areas have unrest. This one isn't their area yet, but this one is. And so is this one. In fact, that one should have flipped. L before P. This one will flip next. And like I said, if you were a player, all 3 of these areas would have had 1 flip. And then Austria is fine, France is fine, and so are we. We're all Catholic. Very solid. So no issues there. Next, gain and remove unrest based on your stability, or the bots sometimes, if they have ideas, the only one that has an idea is Austria, and they have a diplomatic idea. So actually, Austria has a diplomatic, so they're actually going to get extra dice in battles. So, yeah. If they would have had a admin idea, that would have reduced unrest for them. That's all I was looking up. Okay, so now we roll rebel dice. So this is going to be very interesting. Spain, the bots, you just add them up, and they're going to roll a maximum of 5. It doesn't matter which area they're in. Spain has 2. This one and that one. So here you can see they're going to lose a cube and they're going to have a rebellion. So they lose their cube. Now the rebellion, this is interesting. Where? Here or there? It's going to be the lower tax. Since they don't roll per area, which is actually going to be here, that's going to trigger a battle. So basically they're going to battle against one unit. And when bots are fighting NPRs, they just roll 1 die for the NPR, and the NPR missed, and so basically they squashed the rebellion. France has nothing. Austria has nothing. The Ottomans have 1. Nothing happens. Poland has 1. They're going to lose a cube. And then that brings us to us. Now we got to do area by area. So we're going to start with this area here and roll 2. We lose 4 ducats. Okay, that sucked. And then we're going to go here and roll 3. Alright, so I lose a cube. And I have a rebellion. Which, the good news is, a rebellion would have taken a town. There's no towns left, so it just another guy gets added. So now there's 4 of them. Could have been worse. It could have been a lot better, though, for us. Okay, now we go to the income and upkeep, and this is where I can fire anybody, and I get to collect my income. And if I ever have more than 50 ducats, I gain corruption. And then I also collect my monarch power, and then we'll do this part last. So the income is pretty straightforward. You add up your advisors, so 4, 6, 7. So I have 7 for my advisors. And then I have 1 for every land unit. It doesn't matter what type of land unit, it's just 1. And it's on your player aid right here, your maintenance costs. And it's 2 for every mercenary, and a half for every ship. So I got 4 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then for my ships, I have 1, and then this half gets rounded up for 2. So I add 2 more for my ships. And then if I had any loans, that'd be a -1. And then you could get a -2 if you were at -1 stability, which I'm not. So my upkeep is 13. I'm making 16 plus 4 is 20. So I come away with 7 ducats. So I'm up to 12. I needed to have 15 after my expenses to get this quest there. So not quite there. Alright, and then the next thing I do is I look at my monarch. So I have a 2 under admin, which is this. A 2, and then my advisor is 3. So I get to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cubes for administrative power. Then I have a 1 plus a 2 is 3. And then I have a 3 plus a 1 is 1, 2, 3, 4 for the military. And there you go. That's my income phase. Now, last but not least, we do prestige for all this stuff. Okay, power struggles is this. Oh, I'm sorry, going the wrong way. This is the power struggles. These are on the board. We already know what they are. They're public knowledge, but it's not active. And in fact, it won't be active until age 2. We're in age 1, and we got like 4 rounds in age 1 before we ever even see age 2. Now, how will I know? At the bottom of your event card, there's going to be a big P on it. Just like, we had at the bottom of the event card, attrition, those little symbols. There's going to be a symbol for this. And when that happens, this will move over to the active. And at this point in the round, we would have scored for it. So until then, players can keep fighting. Austria and France or whatever can keep fighting to gain towns in those territories. So it's like a nice little goal that everybody knows that they need to get to. All right. This scoring battleground areas is interesting. I don't remember that being in the rules, but I can check. I always thought it scored just for what was here. Oh, yeah. So you get to score this plus what's written on there. Okay. Very interesting. So yes, there's a lot of opportunity to score points or even lose points. Okay. Next on the list is Crusades. So the Crusades I always have to look up, but we have this really cool. In the rulebook, you'd have to look it up, but here you get to look. PRs committed to the crusade each score 2 if there are no provinces owned by Muslim realms left there. Otherwise, they lose 2. So Spain just ran out of cubes for sieging. They were only able to siege 1 out of the 4 provinces. So they partially won, but they're going to lose 2 points here. And if there was no realm committed to the crusade, the papal controller loses 2. If nobody would have committed to it. So everybody gained 1, but now they're going to lose 2. So overall, it's a -1. Yeah. So yeah, everybody would have gained 1, and now they lose 2. So I didn't bother putting the tokens here, but we know that Castile is one of them. So they're going to lose. Oh my gosh, everybody's at. Oh no, they're going to lose 2 points to go to here. And then Poland was the other one. And Poland, I'm going to have to clone this token. Poland is at -2. Wow, we got a lot of negative points going on in this game. Castile's sort of. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to hold onto that town, but they're sort of doing okay. And technically speaking, they have religious unrest here for future purposes, but we'll deal with that later. Okay, then we keep going. Oh, and then the Crusade token goes away. Now, the Papal Controller is going to score a maximum of 3 points. They score 1 point for every Catholic nation that's in the game. So there's 5 Catholic nations in the game right now. So, but it caps out at 3 points. And then the HRE Emperor will score if they have 6, which they don't. They only have 3. Now the bot's going to roll a die. If they rolled double their current value of 3, they would have gone up by 1. But now they rolled half, so they actually go down by 1. So now they drop to 2, which is interesting. So when they drop to 2, they lose one of these cubes out here because they have less influence. Now, this can move up or down for a whole variety of reasons, and that's also in the rulebook. But what's really cool is this little doodad has a great chart here. These are all the reasons it goes up. These are all the reasons it goes down. And that's in addition to, the rolling the dice thing that we just did. Because technically they're not an NPR, but anyways. It's a very cool concept. But it's a lot more rules you have to keep track of when you're that player. Okay, so the Papal Controller, by the way, is France. So France just scored 3 points. And they got themselves off to Schneid. They're back to 0. Okay, then we do cleanup. If you have any allied units, which we don't, that would be like if you declare war and an NPR is your ally, they give you those black rebel-looking units, and those are called allied units. They all go away. Update manpower. Refresh exhausted. So let's do that. Let's start with us. Our manpower is now 8 plus 2 is 10. So we're at 4 and 8. So that means 2 more come out and are available. And we get to refresh half of what's exhausted, minimum of 3. So half of this is 2. Obviously, the minimum being 3 means 1, 2, 3 come out, and then this stays exhausted. So I can wait until the end of the next round, and if nobody else dies, this will come out. Or there's a action here. It's a free minor action where I can replenish manpower. I can spend a cube to get 3 guys back. And it's just, you can do this as many times as you want. It's a free minor action. But this is good enough to have 5 guys in my manpower pool. We also have some bot maintenance we need to do, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. First of all, you check their manpower. So, for example, this is 5, and they dropped a level, so they only get 2 bonus now instead of 3. So instead of 8, they now only have 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this guy goes away and is no longer available for them. They gain 7 cubes from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The rest go away. Now, how did I know 7? That's the difficulty level you choose. And it's on this chart. Number gained 7. And then this next part, it's explained in the bot rules if you need it explained. But we got to go through and look at all the cards that they played. If any of them say event or idea, they automatically go back in. Otherwise, I'm going to flip it, I'm going to shuffle it, and half, round it up, go back into the deck. The other half are discarded. So it's just gone for the rest of the age. And then I'm going to go ahead and shuffle one last time. And the cool thing about playing in this mode is I don't even have to see what they lost. Now remember, some of them are lost, like when they did the focus action, those are already gone. Because the moment they play the focus, those immediately leave. So here you can see we have 3 of them. And I can search. It's diplomacy, diplomacy, diplomacy. All 3 of them. So I'm just going to flip it, shuffle, and then round up, remember. So 2 of them are going to come back, and 1's going to leave. And then shuffle. And this is us. We took care of us. Oh, I forgot to do their manpower. I don't think anything changed. Yep, 6. Forgot to do their cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Come around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if I just screwed up there. I don't know where that cube came from. That looks right though, being 9. So like I said, the idea automatically goes back into the deck. These, we're going to shuffle. 2 of them go back in. 1 leave, and then shuffle. France. Oops. They have only 7. So one of these goes, because they lost that 1 town. France is at 8. Only 2 cards. Shuffle. 1 stays, 1 goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gone. And Castile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 of them gone. They have 7. They get 1 more manpower. This goes back in. Okay, so 4 cards. 2 stay. 2 go. And there it is. Alright, so that brings us to the end. So we're back to the start of the round. And the first thing that would happen is I get to draw 3 cards of any type I choose. And I have to pay 2 ducats for each one that I keep. I will go ahead and do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.